Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the 215th episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. It is I, Colton Robertson, and today I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. As you know, I need not tell you, but for the people, it is the week of Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi, our beloved for basically all time, our whole life. We've known Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Father.
Yes, Jesus. He will get his own show starting this Friday. So we saw it only fit to celebrate. Consider this your Kenobi Council preview. We're doing our first 5x5. Now this is an idea me and Joe have spawned, and we've kind of refined over the course of the last week and a half, 2 weeks. It's going to be a series. It won't be necessarily one after the other. You know, next week don't be expecting 5x5 part 2, but stuff like that will be coming. Let me explain. So we're calling this a 5x5. What that is 5 top 5s. All right. And this is Star Wars edition. So we're doing 5 top 5s. That is top 5 good guys. And under that, we're going the Republic, Rebels, Resistance. Top 5 bad guys. And that's Separatist, Empire, First Order. Top 5 Sith, top 5 Jedi, and then the top 5 Star Wars Masters and Apprentice combos. So, you know, we've previously done a bunch of top 100s. We did it for Star Wars characters. We did it for comic book characters. And that rounded out to 25 things we talked about each, 25 characters on each side. And I figured a 5x5, that's perfect. We don't have to do top 100s ever again necessarily. We can just do a bunch of different top 5s. And it's arguably more fun because it's nothing but the top 5.
All these people are good. All of the things are good.
Everything's top 5, top 5, top 5, top 5. But I say we get into it, and we're starting with the top 5 good guys. Now, the way we defined this, as I stated, Republic, Rebels, Resistance, prequel trilogy, original trilogy, sequel trilogy. The guys who are good, but are not necessarily Jedi.
Now, I have, you have yours in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 order, or is this just the top 5 out of everyone that you
I have them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 order. Do you?
Okay, I do as well, yes.
Okay, good. Then I say we go back and forth like we did for the others. We go 5 and 5, 4 and 4, 3 and 3, 2 and 2, and 1 and 1. And we'll do that for everyone. So we'll start with the 5. You want to get us going?
Yeah, I'll start it out. And took some thinking here. There were a lot of good people, and it's crazy that I had to cut out some. But I had to have Din Djarin in here. He's just even though he's pretty new to the Star Wars universe, it's insane how lovable he is and how just his relationship with Grogu is just the cutest thing to watch on television. And now, seeing him pop up in Boba Fett and him having a season 3 coming, I don't know. I see him having a very, very bright future in Star Wars and being around for quite some time. But I love Din, and it's just he's been so instantly attachable. I don't know. He's been so instantly lovable that I just had to throw him in here.
I love it. And instantly off rip, we're getting a really great example of how these categories can be up for interpretation and stuff, which I absolutely love because Din Djarin is a top 5 good guy, but because he didn't fall in the Republic, Rebels, or Resistance crew, I did not put him in my top 5 here. Now, don't get me wrong, Din Djarin's the shit, and if I were to define him within this group, he'd fit right in. I love him. I love him at my 5.
You know, he's fighting against like Gideon, he's basically in his own little world, a rebel or part of the resistance,
of rebellion.
So I don't know.
Sure. Like the Mandalore side of rebellion.
Yeah, he's the only one that's kind of
on the fence,
up in the air. All of the others are like, yeah.
No, yeah. All of mine have their faction for sure. But I see. It's all up for interpretation. Whatever you felt falls within these 5, it fell within those 5. That is up to you. So I fuck with Din Djarin being straight out the gate a top 5 good guy for you. My 5 is where I have Finn, Resistance General. I love me some Finn. I had to get him in here, and it was at the cost of a couple of some dudes who I was like, ooh, maybe, but I had to let it go because I was like. I want either Finn or Poe here. I got to get them in the top 5 because, like, while the sequel trilogy is not my favorite trilogy, I do love the characters they put forth, and Finn stands apart for me in terms of just how awesome he was. The stormtrooper turned resistance general, rebellion leader, revolutionary. That's fucking awesome. I absolutely loved it, and John Boyega is a fucking treasure. I absolutely love Finn, and I had to get him in my top 5 good guys.
Dang. Yeah, I don't know. It was definitely because I'm not going to lie. I took a peek at your list. Just to see if I was like way off or if we had some similarities and stuff. And I was thinking, I'm like, man, do I really like these people more than like the people I'm cutting out? And it's very like, the correct answer, I think, is no, like just for general people. But it's like, this is really like, who I connected with more. And
I'm with you. No, yeah, because here's the thing is that, like, I think we are basing this more off favorites. Like, I am anyway. Like, it is more who I personally connected with. And it was at the cost of other characters who maybe I do connect with them more. But I did want to give the sequel trilogy some love. And therefore, I had to get Finn in here. There are a couple characters who, if you go back and listen to the Star Wars Top 100, you'll find that one of them comes above Finn for sure. And I probably stand by that. But I went ahead and let him fall so that Finn could rise up here and get the nod for the top 5. I like having a consolidated group here. So under the Resistance faction, I've got Finn at my 5 spot. Din and Finn to start it.
Sick. How fitting. Moving on to my 4, I got a captain here. I got Captain Rex. And Rex, I mean, his moment of him like resisting Order 66 is almost just enough in itself. Like just he loved like the fight. He loved Ahsoka and he loved like everyone that much that like every other clone in the galaxy was like instant bam, but he's like fighting it, he like, and just his relationship with Anakin, and then like seeing old Rex, in Rebels, and like, he's just such like, he's just a good character. Guy. Yeah. He's just a good guy.
One you love to love, and this is one where if you go back and listen to the top 100, probably comes above Finn, but if I remember correctly, he comes above Finn by like a couple spots. But I was like, I've got a Republic spot. I've got a Republic spot filled here. So I went ahead and showed love somewhere else. But I'm so glad you have Captain Rex because this dude is the shit. He's that guy. You just love. I remember fresh off season 7 Clone Wars when I finished it. Ahsoka and Captain Rex, I was confident those are top 5 Star Wars characters for me. obviously my head cooled after the recency bias wore off a little bit. They're still top 15, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like it cooled a ton, but man, fresh off of season 7, I was like, oh my God, I love them. I love them so much.
Rex is just, I don't know. Like, this is a good guy category. And like, I don't know of a time where you really hate Rex at all. Like, is there a time where you're ever like not on his side?
He's the goodest of boys.
He's a good boy. Yeah.
He deserves all the pats and boops you can give him. Even a hug.
He needs a hug.
He does need a hug, man. They all do. All those clones, they needed something that was not provided to them. And I loved Captain Rex, dude. And, if there's a clone that I'm like, besides Boba Fett,
fair.
It's Captain Rex. You know what I'm saying?
That's pretty cool to say, though. That like,
oh yeah,
you're
because
either
Boba Fett's the OG. That man popped up in 80.
Damn, Rex. Yeah, what a dude. What a guy. Had to make my top 5 though.
What a guy. I love it. And in the same vein, on that animated side of things, my next option is a rebel and a captain in her own way, captain of a ship, captain of the Ghost. We've got Hera Syndulla.
Oh yes, okay. Glad you got her in here.
Yeah, I had to. She is no doubts about it a top 5 favorite good guy of mine. Like, this was one of those characters who I was like, no matter who I have to cut, she's not one of them. Like she will be in this list. And I just love Hera Syndulla with all my heart. That for me, Han Solo was nice with it. I know he was, but Hera's the nastiest pilot in the galaxy. She got the fucking moves on her, and I mean her relationship to Kanan, and the just heart wrenching, devastating ending that sees. Her motherhood over Ezra and over Sabine, and kind of like and
people say it's a kid show.
Oh, dude, it just resonates on such a deep level if you care about Star Wars. Because I never want to invalidate anyone's fandom, right? If you like Star Wars, whatever your reasons are, you like Star Wars, you're a Star Wars fan. I'm there. But if you watch Rebels and you go, this is bad Star Wars, that's borderline the only thing in Star Wars fandom I can go, what? No way. Because it is everything Star Wars is about. That family and the connections you make along the way, and how you can't win alone. You need your family with you. You need your friends. And Hera just defined that so perfectly. And as one of the kind of founding members of the rebellion, when it was still in its smallest stage, she was responding to Fulcrum and connecting with other factions, other places without everyone knowing. She was like, everyone was like, who are you what are we doing? Who are you taking orders from? And she's like, I can't tell you that. That's need to know. And she needed to know. And I'm like, God, she's such a badass. I love me some Hera Syndulla.
Damn. Yeah, and her her popping up in Bad Batch too, like in her childhood, and then that was cool. I'm glad you got her in here because out of the Rebels crew, she defines like a rebel the most out of any of those.
Oh yeah,
those people. So
well, they've all got something else going on. Like Kanan and Ezra got the Jedi thing, and Sabine is always a Mandalorian through and through, and Zeb's just a big guy brute. He's there to have a good fucking time.
Zeb's just Zeb.
He's if anybody else has the rebellion spirit besides Hera, it probably is him, because he is personally
he's like a
victim of the Empire.
Wow. Guardians, Batista,
Drax.
Thank you. He's kind
a
of like
good comparison. Yeah,
it's kind of like a Drax. Just got his whole species or family, wiped out, and he's like, no, not having that. I'm gonna fight till the day I die. But yeah,
My queen, Hera Syndulla. I love her. I love her to death. And she had to be here. There was no doubt. So my 4 is Hera.
My 3 is our large hairy friend, Chewie. Had to have Chewbacca.
Yeah, you did. I feel like a fucking idiot. I love Chewbacca to death, and I always forget to put him in these things. I always do.
Yeah. I don't know, it's hard to think of like an animal, whenever you're thinking of like our resistance or rebels leaders, it's hard to think of Chewie. But the only reason is like just his pal, who's obviously up here. It was like, I gotta, like the only,
I love it. Chewie deserves that. He deserves being a favorite in the rebellion. What a fucking guy Chewie is. And I probably wouldn't have made a different decision on my top 5. He probably still would have been one of those that I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and get someone else in here to kind of spread the love. We all know we love Chewie. That maybe that's kind of why, is because I always go, we all love Chewie. No one has beef with Chewie.
Yeah, fair.
What discourse is there to have?
None. Zero.
Other than he deserved better.
Yeah. Dude, oh man. He's always going through it. Like after Han dies too, and he sees it happen, and like, damn. But no, I had to throw Chewie in here. And there is there are people who definitely deserve it, I think, more than Chewie. I wouldn't
necessarily go that far. I like to spread the love. I'm glad you had him because I'd say more so than most, he deserves it. He deserves a top 5
spot. He didn't get the medal.
Medal? Come on. You got to make up for it somewhere.
Bro, they did him so dirty in the Lego Star Wars game too. Like, they play on it. They play on that meme. They literally Luke, Han, and then who else gets so I don't know, maybe R2. I don't know, someone else gets a medal. And then Chewie goes up to like Leia, like hey, I'm ready for mine. And then like or like R2 like bumps him out of the way and he gets one, and then like someone else walks in, grabs the other one, and Leia's like, oh well, I'm all out now. Sorry, Chewie. And it's like come on, in the game where you could have given him like an extra one or someone like, I don't know, like damn.
Hey, but he ends up getting Leia's.
He does?
Oh. Yeah, at the end of the Skywalker.
I didn't think
Maz Kanata pulls up with the medal, and she I think Leia died with it, like in her hands, like on her stomach or something, and Maz gave it to Chewie because, like, I mean, I know Chewie and Lando are low key friends, They go back, but not friends the way him, Han, and Leia were. Yeah, like that was a different connection he had with them, and man, that part of the Rise of Skywalker never fails. Whenever he learns Leia died, they get back and they're like, "Oh, we got to see the general right now." Oh man, when he drops to his knees, fuck no, buddy. I was in that theater sobbing.
Oh God. Our boy Chewie deserves better. Yeah, I'm glad he's my 3 now. I don't got any reservations now.
Oh no, absolutely not. But yeah, that's a good 3. My 3. This is another one that might perhaps be up for the interpretation. Not on the fighting side of things per se. She got down when she needed to. It's Padme Amidala. She had to be here, Senator, Queen, and they cut this part out of Revenge of the Sith, but founding member of the rebellion, truly laid the groundwork for what was to come.
Wife to Anakin.
Damn. Just a legendary character, and she always fought for what was good, be it on the Senate floor or be it with aggressive negotiations in the pit of Geonosis. You know, she was about that action, and she backed it up with words. She massive influence, obviously, beyond the grave on her children, Luke and Leia.
Damn, yeah, mother to Star Wars.
Mother to Star Wars, the mother Star Wars. Padme's the absolute queen. You know,
unified Naboo.
Yeah, unified the people and the Gungans.
Damn.
Yeah, she's got a resume on her, man, and she's nothing but awesome. I think I do appreciate, you know, that there's a line there, you know, that Anakin would descend to such depths for her, you know, but he's going down that path and she can't follow. You know, like this Jedi who's been a legend in the Republic for being just brave and strong and everything could fall to the dark side, and she would still have the strength to go, man, you're fucking up.
Damn.
Like, I love the shit out of you, but
like when he
I
says,
can't go with you here, man.
Like when he says we could rule the galaxy together, like he's for real. Like if he wanted to, he could like actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
And Padme knows that, you know, but she's like, no, not this way. Can't happen. You know, I'm pregnant right now. We had a good thing going, you know, and
well, and like Anakin can't even fathom that right after, you know, he looks at Obi-Wan and goes, you did this to her.
Yeah. He's like, I'm trying to save
she
you.
Can't do this. And she's like, no, you're fucking up. And I know that of my own volition.
Damn.
I had to see it to believe it, but yeah, you're fucking up. I love Padme for having that wherewithal on her, not succumbing to the dark side the way Anakin did. And, you know, obviously I'm not Anakin. Well, there is some fault to be blamed. Palpatine's definitely responsible for such things.
Yeah. I mean, gaslit the dude into becoming Vader.
Into oblivion.
Like your wife is going to die if you don't do this. It's bound to happen. So follow me, do everything I say.
And Padme was willing to die for her children to be born. Like that's another really, really cool thing about her. I just love me some Padme, man. So she had to be in my top 5 good guys. There was no doubt about it.
Well, wow. We're at number 2. And this one was tough. These top 2 were tough to put in order. But 2, I have Leia Organa. This is where Princess Leia is for me. And it's pretty synonymous with 1, I feel.
Yeah, we have the same 2 and 1, just in the opposite order.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Leia, we all know. I mean, it's kind of like Chewie. We all love Chewie. We have no beef with Chewie. But even more, that's like everyone loves Leia. Like, there's no beef with Leia. She's a queen in her own right. You know, like
General, like she is royalty to
the
me.
Fact that like she could have been a Jedi and she's trained with Luke and she was like, no, I'm putting it down. Like, just to still be where she is. She didn't need a lightsaber to go and fight her own battles, you know.
That strength of principle, man. What were we just talking about with Padme?
And look who she got it from.
Look what happens here. You know, like Leia's a fucking queen, man, and you know, a general, someone who, you know, to keep drawing on the comparisons to Padme, was about that action and could back it up with her words, you know. And at the beginning of Empire Strikes Back, she's the one telling everybody, hey, this is what we got to do. You got to do this. You got to do this. You get in your X-Wing. Like at the Battle of Hoth, you know, she's running that shit. She's going around checking everybody what they're doing. And Rogue One, even, like, she tiny part. But obviously it's a massive part. I love that, you know, whenever Mon Mothma and Bail Organa are like, who the fuck could we possibly trust with these plans? Bail's like, I have one person who I can trust with literally anything.
What a goat. I mean, even trapped in, the Death Star, having Vader and Tarkin right there. Like, all right, give us the location. We need the location of your base, and she's like, she's the one making the hard decisions for the rebellion. And
Dantooine, the rebel base is on Dantooine.
People follow her without question too. Like, it's just, oh, Leia said that, okay, yep.
She's a goddamn legend, man. Like, and I don't know how much of Star Wars Resistance, the cartoon you've watched. I've watched a few episodes. I think I've gotten through a little bit of season 1, but that very first episode, they build that legend, man. They're like, General Leia Organa. Like, on the level that whenever Rey hears Luke Skywalker's name for the first time. Like, whenever they're like Luke Skywalker, sick. I thought he was a myth. They're like,
mean, that's fair.
General Leia Organa. Oh my God.
That's fair. I never thought about that. Like, yeah, Luke, like, he's known for, like, blowing up the Death Star, defeating Darth Vader, like, crazy, big things. But, like, Leia, like, she led all of this stuff. She's like the twin to Luke. Like, obviously, like, they'd be known in legend, like, together. And, like, it'd be, like, even more legendary that they were like, oh, yeah, they were brother and sister. It's
what's interesting, too, is that because they have two separate last names and their history is really marred, they're the only ones who know Vader were their parents and stuff. Like, I mean, I'm sure that's kind of gotten to become more and more public knowledge and stuff. But it's probably, like, a really interesting little piece of trivia within the universe. Like, did you know General Leia Organa and Luke Skywalker are twins?
These two legends that we talk about all the time, and like, yeah, they're twins. The guy that Luke defeated was actually his father.
Like, can you imagine that being history class?
Damn, that's like theology at that point. It's like it's like legendary that it's like people have to follow that shit. Like, I don't know, that's but
yeah. So I'll go ahead. Here. Leia Organa was my 1. And Han Solo is my 2, and I'm assuming Han Solo's your 1.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's talk Han for a second. I figured, no reason to go back and forth. I'll talk about why I love Han. You talk about why you love Han. I'll talk about why I love Leia again. Han is fucking awesome. There's been a lot of conversation of late surrounding Han Solo, obviously, because Kenobi's coming out and they did this whole Vanity Fair interview with Kathleen Kennedy and stuff. And a lesson she took from the release of Solo and Lucasfilm as a whole took from Solo is that recasting the classic roles doesn't work. And to that I say, what the fuck? That's not true. Alden Ehrenreich absolutely fucked as Han Solo. Donald Glover absolutely fucked as Lando Calrissian. There's a show coming out this Friday in which the main character is a recast of a classic character. Ewan McGregor is not the first Obi-Wan Kenobi. So like, I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, ma'am. And rarely do I hardcore disagree with Kathleen Kennedy, but that was one where I was like, oh,
it's weird. It's weird that
wrong thing to take from that movie.
It's weird that they think Solo sucked. Like, I think it's just they go off numbers and it was just the bad release time. I think is why they think like
they didn't like it was entirely on them.
Yeah,
it was. It came out 6 months off the coattails of a movie that absolutely divided the fandom more than it ever had been divided. Half of Star Wars fans were in a very bad place after The Last Jedi in terms of like their perception of Star Wars. They weren't going to go see the next Star Wars movie. It came out 6, maybe 5 months after The Last Jedi. They did no promotion for it. The trailer didn't release until a month before. Like, it's their fault that movie did bad. Not Alden Ehrenreich's, not the directorial team switched halfway through production.
Really?
Yeah, they went with a completely new direction halfway through production. Like, there's so much more that went into that movie going badly, and it didn't even end up bad. The movie is still fucking fun. Then Alden Ehrenreich was a recast of a classic character. Like, that just seems blasphemous to me. But beyond that, Harrison Ford fucking rocks as Han Solo. I absolutely love that man.
He's the hero that doesn't want to be called a hero, and he.
Oh, absolutely.
But he wants to be called a hero. Just he doesn't want to show it. That's just like the little intricacies of Han. That him saying "I know" to Leia, and just he's trying so hard not to be good, but deep down, like, needs to be good and do the right thing.
And it's interesting that when we start this conversation about Han Solo, my mind goes immediately to Alden Ehrenreich's recent headlining sort of thing with that story. But there's another reason my mind goes straight to Alden Ehrenreich, and it's that while Harrison Ford obviously put forth the legendary cool guy who we are like, fuck yeah, we love Han Solo. All those things you said are definitely implicit in the original trilogy. Like, if you're watching and you've watched these movies enough, you pick up on the fact that he's a hesitant hero. He's like, I don't do this for. I'm not a rebellion kid. I owe people money. I got to go. And then he leaves and he comes back. He helps save the day, etc. Like, he's coming back, but they build that with, like, Alden Ehrenreich Solo makes it explicit. Whenever Kira is like, you know what, I see right through you. I see exactly what no one else did. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she goes, you're the good guy. He's like, no, I'm not.
I don't know why you say that. No,
yeah, like that. And that's the first time it's like really, really, it's explicitly said for the first time there, like, even Leia and Han's relationship in the original trilogy is, he's like, I'm a scoundrel. You fucking love it. Like, it's kind of like his whole thing. And, that they really make it, they build his romanticism and they build his, like, his idealism in that movie. And it just, having that now feeds so finely into how we perceive Harrison Ford's Han Solo. Like, it was already kind of there, but having the explicit, here's what we were trying to say with Alden Ehrenreich. It just makes it all the more powerful.
Yeah, he's I don't know. I love his I mean, I have his gun. Like, I love his weapon. I think it's such a cool, like, and I love how, like, all the weapons design in Star Wars were like just like scraps of metal just like put together, and it just made it look
like
spacey.
Based off like World War I and World War II guns,
which is sick. But Han, like in the sequels where he's out there blasting people away and then like no look shot someone, like, I don't know, were they trying to hint to like some Force awareness there, or was it just like, this dude is so?
I take it as, like, since that does come in The Force Awakens, I've perceived that movie as a whole as kind of a broad awakening of the Force, in which it's like it's flowing, and it, while you might not be able to tap into it, it can guide you. And I take that as Han being guided by the Force, kind of like pew, 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 and then being like, he like even kind of looks at his gun immediately after and is like, oh shit, I'm kind of nice with it, like but yeah, I've kind of perceived it as it was the Force guiding him less so than him feeling it through the Force. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that. Yeah. I mean, we know Leia definitely is Force sensitive. That's for sure.
And like, I'd say, like, my gut goes, I don't want Han to be Force sensitive.
Yeah.
You know, he was already cool as fuck as the normal guy.
Yeah, true. And that's like, and yeah, that like Din made the list because he's like a non-force sensitive dude that is just good and badass in his own right. He doesn't need that.
Exactly.
But
yeah, and you know, it is interesting looking back at the list, and like I do have 2 force sensitives, Leia and Finn.
Damn, I guess I only have Leia.
Yeah, but
me.
like,
unless Rex in his off time is freaking, he's just too principled to even show it. He's like, I can't let the other clones know that I'm force sensitive. I mean, he doesn't have the ability to be force sensitive because he is a clone and all, but like maybe he was that good that he just
because he's a good clone. You know,
Yeah.
if they had tried to really give him the force, he'd have turned out like Snoke. You know,
true. Yeah,
I'm one with the force, and the force is with me.
What a good guy Rex is. What a good guy.
But yeah, so let's give out that top 5 one more time for the top 5 Republic, Rebels, Resistance. So top 5 good guys. I'll go 1 to 5. My 1, Leia. 2, Han. 3, Padme. 4, Hera Syndulla. And 5, Finn. What about you?
1, Han Solo. 2, Leia Organa. 3, Chewbacca. 4, Captain Rex. And 5, Din Djarin, our boy Mando.
Fuck yes. All right, so let's get on to this next top 5. So we've got 5 sections of top 5s. You see, that was one of the 5. By the time we're done, it will be 5 top 5s, 5 by 5. Hence the title. My God, what a fucking system we've got here.
Wow.
Now we're going bad guys. We're going Separatist, Empire, and First Order. And this time I'll kick it off. My 5 is General Hux.
Ooh.
I like General Hux. You know, I think I think his story ends up taking a dive there at the end. I appreciate what it does within The Rise of Skywalker, but they set him up in The Force Awakens as a force to be reckoned with, even though he is a bitch. You know, like
his like speech, like on Starkiller Base, like. I mean,
I watched that and I'm like, oh my God, if I was a fascist, I'd fucking love this guy.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think he was a really cool character. And his petulant distaste for Kylo Ren was just an immaculate little side piece there, you know, and I'm trying to like there's that line that Snoke delivers to Kylo where he's like, you see this fucking kid? You know why I keep him around? Because I think he calls him a cur. Like a cur's weakness, properly manipulated, can be his greatest strength. And it was like, okay, you know, he fueled this like anger within Hux. And, you know, I think he was doing something on purpose with him and Kylo. Like, he knew they hated each other. He knew Hux hated him because it motivated Hux. Ultimately backfires in the end. But, you know, there for a second, it looks like, oh, Hux could be a problem. True. Like, that's there's this, in the treatment that Colin Trevorrow did for episode 9. And generally, I don't like that. I don't like the script that Colin Trevorrow did for the original episode 9 idea. But there was one thing that was cool. A lot of it was going to be set on Coruscant. And the new chancellor of the First Order was going to be Hux.
Ooh. That'd be cool.
I thought that would have been kind of gnarly with like Kylo being a Vader enforcer type, you know?
Dang, that's crazy. The direction it could have gone.
Like, oh yeah, and you know, like I ultimately that script, besides that, is generally fucking garbage. But so I'm glad we got what we got. But yeah, I really fuck with Hux. I think he's a cool character. And this is General Hux. I hear you. Do you hear me?
No, you're breaking it.
Got a message for his mom.
But starting out my top 5, I have Jango Fett here, and I don't know if this like is, you know, including Boba. I don't think it really. I don't know. It kind of like because I see Boba now as like more of a good guy. I don't see him as like, but like maybe I can just include the bad part of Boba because it pretty much came directly from Jango. But mainly Jango is in here, I think, on his own right. Anyways.
Oh yeah, Attack of the Clones. He's clearly a henchman of the Separatists.
I mean,
he's
he's kind of like a legend. I mean, they like the Sith, like Palpatine, based an entire army off of this dude. Like, I don't know if Palpatine himself necessarily picked out Jango Fett, or if it was just the Kaminoans being like, nah, like he
or
would
if it was Dooku. And...
Yeah, but I mean, indirectly, like. They wanted an army based, a badass army, and they chose.
Regardless, it got ran through Palpatine, and Palpatine said, "Yeah, that's cool."
Yeah, like and to be that dude is kind of nuts. To be like, oh, I'm being chosen to clone millions of times, or like I don't know.
At that time, he'd killed over 10 Jedi.
Damn.
1-on-1, he defeated 10 Jedi.
That's badass.
It's insane.
I mean, didn't stand much of a chance versus Mace.
Mace is gnarly with it.
What are you going to do? Against like probably number 2 in the galaxy at that point. Maybe 3 to Anakin. I'm Yoda, Anakin, and Mace. They're up. That's it.
Yeah, they're top 3. There's no doubt.
But yeah. I mean, he got his head sliced off. Started his son down the rabbit hole he got into. But yeah, I don't know. Jango Fett, like his suit is sick. His blaster's sick. That's his ship. Like we say it's Boba's Slave One, but like it's really Jango's.
It was Jango's OG ship for sure.
And yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Jango's a legend. That's a badass motherfucker right there. Obviously he brought Tamara Morrison into this, which I absolutely love. A young Tem back in the day, riding with his mans, little Boba, little Daniel Logan. I really fuck with it. I really love Jango back in the day. So that's a good pick. I didn't end up giving him any love here, so I'm glad you did, because I was conflicted with Boba.
Seismic charges as well.
Legendary shit.
Damn.
But yeah, I also had the same reservations about putting Boba here. Like that's why Boba ultimately doesn't appear here, because I was like, he's not an Imperial, But I'd say Jango was more of a separatist than Boba was an Imperial. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So my 4 is Moff Gideon. This is where I have Gideon. I love Giancarlo Esposito. I love that man. And this is just a quick aside. I'm rewatching Westworld right now in anticipation of season 4. And I completely forgot that Giancarlo Esposito has one 5 to 7 minute cameo, and it's absolutely fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I completely forgot. And when I got to it, I was like, oh shit. Like he pops up and you don't see his face initially, but I heard it and I went, that's Giancarlo Esposito. And I was like, oh right, I forgot.
Ooh, didn't think of it. But he is like up there with top narration. Like Jeffrey Wright, Morgan Freeman.
And he's got a good voice.
Yeah. I mean, he's up there. I didn't think of him as a narrator, but like his voice just fucks.
His voice does fuck.
You have something I want.
Yes.
Oh yeah. You may have an idea of,
that's what's absolutely like of Star Wars villains who have appeared on screen. Like main antagonists. You think of episode 1, you got Maul, and he eventually goes on to be in Clone Wars and in Rebels, gaining a lot of screen time. And episode 2, you got Dooku, who's there a lot. Episode 3, you got Palpatine, and Moff Gideon probably has the least screen time of any main antagonist, and has made his fucking presence felt
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't pop up until the last 2 episodes of the first season of The Mandalorian. And one of those is a 30-second ending at the end of episode 7.
Damn.
You know, like
yeah. They made his presence known though before he popped up. Like, his name was like, it was to be feared. You know, Gideon was like, nah, not to be fucked with, Gideon. And then he pops up and damn, yeah, rolls out with those black troopers.
And the dark saber.
And like, we see a freaking TIE fighter land like for the first time, which was just sick. And like, I don't know, just what a bet. Like, even though he got, you know, his monologue said back to him, you know, at the time, it was like, that was badass. Like, his monologue.
Oh yeah, well, and like, it's even more badass now that Din has turned it on him and been like, "You have something I want. I'm gonna come get that shit."
Oh man, that's a good pick though. I'm glad he's on the list because he didn't make mine, but that's a good. I'm glad he's here.
You bet.
But my number 4, sticking kind of with the bounty hunter vein, this is where I have Cad Bane. Ooh, I didn't even mean to rhyme there. It just happened.
Ooh, bounty hunter vein. I'm going Cad Bane. Bars.
So yeah, that's just how freaking sick Cad Bane is. And you know, we ultimately got to see his death, maybe in Book of Boba. Yeah. Maybe Toto came back, and we're getting Toto. I can't wait for him to pop up on screen and just know that you guys are fuming whenever you're watching it. I will love that moment.
I'm gonna, as soon as Toto pops up on screen ever again, I'm closing my eyes, going la 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 la. I'm not listening. I'm not seeing it. I might do that the rest of the episode just to be safe.
Wow. But aside from Toto, Cad Bane, he's the only one to like step up to Boba. They're kind of equals. And he's, you know, if you base an entire clone army off someone else, you know, if they didn't necessarily have to be human, you know, because Palpatine was all about that.
Probably be Cad Bane.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd probably be a better move anyway.
Yeah.
Just because.
I think like the species live longer, for one. 2, I guess they maybe wouldn't have the kit that Cad Bane does. Maybe, I don't know, because it would just be the body. You know, well, I guess I don't know.
Maybe there's some with the brain chemistry there where humans are easier to manipulate and like
fair
something like that.
True. But nah, yeah, Cad Bane. The character design of him is just awesome. His voice, his voice is just menacing. And I love Cad Bane, and he's just a really cool bad guy. Instantly known as the bad. I mean, when you got red eyes, it's like you're probably not a good guy.
Probably the bad guy.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
So yeah, that's my number 4, Cad Bane.
Well, at my 3, I took it back to the Empire side of things. This is where I have Grand Admiral Thrawn. This is my guy. I fucks with Thrawn, and he is he's a really captivating villain, one that I don't know enough about, but there's kind of that mystery to him that makes him really appealing. I fuck with Thrawn heavy. He's a really dope villain. And you know, I haven't read the novels yet, but I'd like to. I've read that those make him out to be less a straight up villain than you might anticipate. Like a little bit more of that, a little bit more of an anti-hero vein to him. But, you know, what I've seen, pretty villainous, pretty bad dude. Can be.
Yeah. He will be coming up later.
I figured he would. I figured this would be one we had in common. But yeah, not much to say there for me. I'll save it for you, really. Thrawn, I fuck with him. Look forward to seeing him some more. But yeah, I hope he's kind of like the big bad that we're leading towards for Ahsoka, Mando, and all that. I think that'd be cool. But awesome. Yeah, so Thrawn, that's at my 3.
My 3, this is where I have General Grievous. What a character design. Like, even just in the prequels, you know, when we just think he's this droid, you know, like whatever. We don't know much about him, but then like getting the background in Clone Wars of him like being like a human and then slowly replacing, you know, himself over time with these upgrades and stuff. And all that's left of him now is basically like his heart and like his brain and his eyes. Like, it's pretty much it. And just, you know, a fine addition to his collections. You know, he's a lightsaber goblin, and he could have 4 of them. Was it only 4 that he could wield at once, or has he ever done like 6?
He probably could wield 6. Like, if he doesn't have to fight.
Is that too much at that point?
Well, he could wield 6 if he was able to lay on his back and put his feet in the air.
Okay, okay, fair.
But, you know, if he wants any mobility, it's got to be max 4. You know, like, if we're in a fight, 4 is all he can do. Yeah, I this is one for me that we might have done a flip flop for, in terms of Grievous and Thrawn. Grievous will be popping up for me later as well. Legendary character, and as a prequel baby, I fucking love Grievous. So,
yeah. And I don't know, there was this, I think it was on Disney Plus, kind of like an extra, where they were showing like George in the, like the concept, it was in the concept art phase of Grievous. And they didn't even know like what he was going to look like. And then he walked in and saw like Grievous's concept, and he was like, ooh, no, this, like, I'm changing the character now. He's this droid, and he's like, you know, supposed to mirror Vader, and like he's the ultimate all the way droid version of Vader, you know, or like whatever. And it's like, oh, that dude's mind is just like so creative and like, but yeah,
that's I actually listened to an audiobook where he really fucked production schedules.
I bet. Yeah.
By like George Lucas, we like to go, yeah, he had that shit figured out. That man was making it up as he went, man, and it just worked out really well. Grievous was definitely one that he was like, ooh, actually, I know we thought it was going to be this. No, I got a whole new idea. He's going to be partly CG, and it was just like, oh, okay, sure, all right, George, it's your movie, and it worked out. You know, I love me some Grievous, but yeah, it's a legendary character for prequel babies. You know, but staying in the realm of legendary characters outside the prequel trilogy for the OT fans, I've got Tarkin at my number 2. This man is as imperial as they come, you know, and this is one that's interesting though, because if you go back and listen to the top 100, Tarkin comes below all the guys I've already mentioned besides probably Hux. But that's because in general, as a character, that's where he falls. When it comes to the imperialist sort of thing, that man's top 2. There's no doubt. Like he defines what the image of the empire is.
Yeah, we tied here, or like tied. We lined up here.
I figured.
Got the same number 2. And this. I mean, we see him, and he's like, nope, blow up Alderaan anyways. I don't care. He gives the order.
You may fire when you're ready.
Yeah, not Vader. You know, Tarkin gives the order.
It's really interesting in A New Hope, if you view it through the lens of nothing else matters. 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. None of that happens. In 1977, when you're watching that, Darth Vader is just a big bad muscle, and Tarkin's the dude who's in charge.
Yeah. True.
Which is like, oh my God, how far we've come. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of like a whole other thing. Obviously you don't like Tarkin, but you know he's the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just got this villainous way about him, man, and he just defines it so perfectly. So yeah, Tarkin had to be my 2.
Oh, what a line too, yeah.
May fire when ready. Dantooine is too small.
Damn. What what a evil dude.
Legendary performance by Peter Cushing too. Just fucking stellar. But yeah, so Tarkin was my 2. Then I think we both already said each other's ones.
I see.
Grievous was your 3. Thrawn was my 3.
Mm-hmm.
Grievous is my 1. Thrawn is your 1.
Indeed. Yes.
All right. Correct. Yeah. Not much more to say there for those characters. I don't think, unless you got more to say about Thrawn.
I just love the meticulousness of the character, and even though he's evil, like his
respect,
respect of like keeping the art, of the civilizations that he's destroyed, basically, kind of not like,
it's
still very evil, but like at least he's thinking of it, I guess. I don't know how to, it's not positive. Dude's a net negative, but
yeah, but he has that way about him, this intelligence to him that perceives people in a way that others won't. Like Tarkin is evil because it's no respect. Nobody's safe. If you and nothing is sacred. For Thrawn, it's still evil. It's still an act of horror. But he's like, not all of it should die with you. There is value in what you brought to the table, but you're not helping us now.
Damn. God, I got to read those novels.
I do too. This man's got to be like...
I've seen him at Barnes & Noble. Like, I've seen them. And like, I just don't know why I haven't pulled the trigger.
I got to at this point. I'm going to have to before Ahsoka comes out, just to really read up on Thrawn ahead of that. But... yeah, so we ready to run through the top 5s here for the bad guys?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so mine, at 1, I had General Grievous. 2, I had Tarkin. 3, I had Thrawn. 4, I had Moff Gideon. And 5, I had Hux.
1, I had Grand Admiral Thrawn. 2, Grand Moff Tarkin. Is it Grand Moff Tarkin or just Moff Tarkin?
Grand Moff Tarkin.
I think it is Grand. Yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin. 3, General Grievous. 4, Cad Bane, and 5, Jango Fett.
I love it. So we're going to coast from the bad guys into some worse guys. It's time for the top 5 Sith.
The bad guys.
The bad guys. So let's do it then. So top 5 Sith. You want to kick it off for me this time?
Sure thing. Not a guy. This is a bad girl here. I have Asajj Ventress.
All right, and it is a pleasure to know that before the conversation we had before the pod, we had the exact same top 5. Maybe not in order, but the same 5. I ended up knocking Asajj Ventress off in favor of another character. But
I see. Well, I guess I'm glad I got her in here. So that
I
she could get
certainly
her light. In Clone Wars, she's just so badass. She's in the first episode even. And like anytime I could see a curved hilt lightsaber, I'm down with, and both of hers are. And she, trained by Dooku, like how to fight and how to duel.
Pretty legendary shit.
Whoa. And just her voice, her like mannerisms, just how sinister she is. I don't know. She's a cool, like a badass Sith. And she just had to make the top 5 for me.
I love it. And she was my 5 before I made a last second addition.
Like the anti-Ahsoka,
Yeah, they got that little parallel between Dooku and Anakin, the apprentices of Palpatine and the apprentices to those apprentices. Very, very interesting. But yeah, I fuck with that. Asajj Ventress at the 5. I had the same thought initially. But my 5 ended up being Emperor Palpatine. I love Emperor Palpatine as an overarching antagonist, but he was never the one throughout all my life that I was like, that's the cool Sith. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
There are like, as I was growing up, I've latched on to every other Sith more. And it was only with age that I really came to appreciate the general mastering of the will of the Force that he kind of established. He's an insanely powerful being and insanely evil, just evil incarnate, just a terrible, terrible person, and brought to life perfectly by Ian McDiarmid. Like, just destroys that performance every time. And the fact that he was like 30 in makeup for the Emperor.
Dang.
in the in the original trilogy in episode 5 and 6, that's the same guy as that plays him in the prequel trilogy. He just reached the age come the prequel trilogy to be able to play Palpatine.
Wow.
Just as himself.
That's sick.
Oh no, I love it. So like, yeah, in Return of the Jedi, you're seeing the same guy, just done up in heavy makeup. He was like 26.
Damn. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a really cool little thing there with Ian McDiarmid, that like, he is the guy who appeared in every trilogy. You know? He was in makeup in Return of the Jedi originally, in makeup in the prequel trilogy, and he shows up in episode 9. And I just thought that was really cool.
What a master.
Legendary shit there.
Yeah,
Legendary shit.
We'll be popping up later in my list.
I figured.
But I mean, if I like Thrawn, that, yeah. I mean, anyway, my number 4, this is where I have Darth Maul. This is just an instantly known bad guy. You see those doors open, and I mean, you see, I mean, the spikes on his head, red and black, dual lightsaber. Okay, obviously this is the bad dude. He doesn't need to say a
out
single
behind
word.
Palpatine and that hologram at the beginning of the movie, and you're like, and you only see half his lightsaber when he fights Qui-Gon in the desert earlier on Tatooine.
Oh, fair. It is very quick. Yeah, it is very quick every time he comes up. But then when he shows up, and the music swells. And then they're just like, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are like, everyone else, you gotta go. We got
y'all dip.
Get out of here.
We got business.
But yeah, I love Maul, and then his Clone Wars appearances and Rebels are so good. And voiced by Sam Witwer.
Yes.
Oh man, what a voice actor there. Like, just encapsulates Maul. But Ray Park in real life though is just like every Maul. Yeah, every Maul is just badass.
They had to produce an image after Vader. You know, Vader was the previous image of evil from the original trilogy, and they're like, well, how do you match that? how do you present someone as evil as Vader on site? And they perfectly did it with Maul. And literally Maul in Spanish is bad.
True. Yeah. Darth Bad.
I mean, like Sidious. They were not subtle in the naming of the characters, But yeah, Maul is definitely
Darth Father.
Yeah, that one's just coincidence, which is hilarious.
That's insane how that's coincidence.
Yeah, that shit's just funny to me now. But that's a good 4. He will be popping up for me later as well. But in the meantime, my 4 is where I have Kylo Ren. This is the one I added in after our conversation before the show, where we went back and forth, like, how do you define Kylo Ren? Because I never viewed him necessarily as a Sith. I lumped him in here because he's a dark side user, and I wanted to give him some love because I do like the character. I love the character a lot, but I've never viewed him as a Sith per se. He, like, even that monologue he gives in The Last Jedi, where he's like, tear it all down. The Jedi, the Sith. Let go. Let it go. Yeah, he's a.
It's pretty good.
He's a little bitch boy. He's a little Kylo, but I love him, because he's a little bitch boy.
Yeah.
You know, because that light is nagging at him, because the light's going, come back, Kylo, come back, Ben. And he's like, I can't, I don't want to. Like, what? Come on, bro.
I think he's the best executed character in the sequels.
He's the only one where it feels clear that his arc went exactly as it was initially expected to, you know?
Yeah. He didn't make my list, but he's right at number 6. I don't know who else I would put, you know, after Ventress and Maul, like other than Kylo. It's just that these other 5
hold such a special place there, you know. I get you for sure, but yeah, I just had to give Kylo some love. Because, like, fresh off the Rise of Skywalker, you know, I said this about the Clone Wars earlier, where Ahsoka and Captain Rex, fresh off, I was like, that's a top 5 Star Wars character. I had the same feeling about Kylo Ren. Like, there was a part of me who went, that's my favorite Star Wars character after the Rise of Skywalker, you know, and recency bias is a bitch, and I've since cooled my head on Kylo. He's not even my favorite Sith, as you can see, but I do fuck with Kylo Ren. I do fuck with Ben Solo. He's a really cool character, really well performed by Adam Driver. And Kylo Ren came in at 4 there.
It's maybe a surprise, but I think after I say it, you'll.
It's the only thing that makes sense. I know what comes.
And my 3 is Darth Vader. You know, most people I think would put him at either 1 or 2 when they think of Sith, and that's fair. You know, he like is the face of the Sith, if not Palpatine's the hidden face, but the face that shows the people, face that they fear, is Darth Vader.
It's Vader, yeah.
It's just, that's all he is, you know, and there's, I guess there is the complication, like, that he just, like, solely was trying to do this for Padme, but, like, he's just evil, like, to be evil for a while, and then, like, I don't know, him being saved by Luke and all is great, but, like, I think, like, his power only goes, like, so far as, like, how much I can like a character, I guess, because the other 2 that are above him, I think I like them more because there's more of a human aspect, you know, to them, instead of just being the dude that you know you'll die from. Well, I mean, and, like, it's not like he's so far below my 1.
No, yeah, he's
like, still
you're only framing it like this because you feel like you need to justify that he's 3, exactly. And I get that, yeah, 100%. I understand, because he's not 3 on mine, you know, like he's definitely much higher. But I do understand. That's the thing, though, is that within the top 5, it's different than when we did our top 100s, because you know, someone falls to 8 in your top 10, that's really needing justification. 3, that's fair game. You do whatever the fuck you want in the top 3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I mean, realistically, he's probably 2, but I couldn't do.
No, I knew you wouldn't either. I know the principle here. I know the principle here. I get it. But yeah, that's a good one. My 3 is who I suspect comes later for you. This is where I've got Dooku.
Aha.
I love me some Dooku, but my top 2 Sith, they bring it to another level for me in terms of nostalgia and lifelong fandom. You know, I always thought Dooku was he was always a cool villain, but he wasn't one I really appreciated until recent years. You know, like as a Sith and what his motives were and why he was doing it, and you know, through that, he might be my favorite Sith in terms of his nuance, like his view of the Jedi, him being like, "Ooh, I don't like the way this is going. I'm gonna go to the other way." You know, like it's not like, "Oh, the dark side festered within me and it bloomed forth and I seized that opportunity." No, he was like,
secretly, I gotta go.
I don't like that. I'm gonna go that way. See what I can do over there for the general good. Which is like, that doesn't happen a lot. Like he did it because he thought it was best.
Damn. He's like the Doctor Strange that just took the Darkhold, you know, sort of situation. Like
it's a pretty good comparison.
He's just Sir Christopher Lee. That dude is knighted. May he rest in peace. And I don't know what a badass repertoire he has. Just crazy that this is even being mentioned in this episode, but I just watched Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, where he is Willy Wonka's father. In that movie, and I completely forgot that he was Willy Wonka's father, and he shows up. I'm like, Count Dooku, in Willy Wonka. But I don't know. I love that boy.
Just another fun fact: he was there for the last public execution by guillotine in France.
My God, he just keeps getting better. The dude is just unbelievable. He's a legend in real life. But yeah, he's my number 2, actually.
Yes, I figured such things.
So, just barely squeaks out Vader. And it's just because there's a little more to him. He's Yoda's apprentice, which is sick. Jedi, what a lineage there. And his saber, can't get enough of that saber. His fighting style. The dude actually fights in real life, like fencing. So he knew what he was doing. He was clean with it. He made it look easy.
The curved hilt.
The arm behind the back, just come on. I don't know. Dude is badass, and it took Anakin, coming up into his prime to take him out, and it was kind of a
kill him.
Yeah.
The way he looks at Palpatine is like, "Oh, I've made a ravenous mistake."
He's like, "Yeah, wait, what? Hold on."
Yeah, like I've grossly miscalculated the situation. But I love me some Dooku, and came in at your number 2, and I fully fuck with that. My 2. This is where I went with Maul. And we kind of covered it all with Maul there. He's a super fucking evil incarnate character that's just like, oh my God. Also, like a bit of torture to him. He's a tortured villain. Tortured by that evil within him, and it's kind of something that makes his death so resonant. Is that like Obi-Wan's reaction and understanding of him is what enhances it. It's like he's like, I'm just so glad you're relieved of this pain. Like, you've done nothing but suffer, and I'm so glad you're done. And I'm sorry this was the life you lived. And like, goddamn, what a powerful sentiment from who Maul would have considered his arch nemesis. And weirdly, you probably ask Maul, he hates him the most, but like, if there's anyone he'd consider a friend.
Yeah, it had to be Obi-Wan. It was strictly business why he sliced him in half at first, you took out my master, I'm gonna take you out too, I'm sorry about it.
A way of things.
Sorry about it. Gotta cut you in half. Apparently that doesn't kill
Slice you right up the stomach, bruh.
So, good on you that you didn't die from that. Too bad you had to come back as like a spider boy, but
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can.
Can he wield the Force? Yes, he can, if he's Darth Maul.
Yes, he's the Spider-Man. But yeah, I fuck with Maul. I don't have much else to say about it. That's who came in at my number 2.
Sick. Yeah, I don't know. 4, it's tough seeing him at 4. Like, seeing how badass he is and being a prequel baby. But
those top 3, they're the top 3 for you. There's no doubt. Like,
number 1, it's my dude.
Like, when you said Maul is your 4, I went, oh, and then I thought about it and I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I wouldn't expect anything else from you,
if Dooku's 2, it leaves one guy to be number 1, and it's the mastermind behind it all. It's Palpatine. It's Darth Sidious here. And I love Thrawn because he's the brain, he's calculated. But Palpatine takes that to a whole other level, and found a way, to birth the strongest creature or like force being, during the time and manipulating him over time to just be a pawn or just his muscle. And then even him coming back in the sequels, which is insane. I don't necessarily agree with it right away, but it only makes him more badass that he still
it
goes
only enhances the
yeah.
legend.
So geez, this dude and does a 1080 twist, to attack.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do if I saw that coming at me.
Well, they always, people are always mad, Kit Fisto and the other dudes just get dealt with immediately. And it's like,
damn,
those are some legendary Jedi. Like Mace Windu picked out some of the hardest motherfuckers to do it.
Damn.
And they were just like, boop, bang, bop, all dead.
Palpatine's just that dude. He is all the Sith. This is top 5 Sith, and he's all of them.
He's all of them. He's all of them. I respect that. It was the only way to go. But I went a different way. I went with Vader. I went with Darth Vader just because he is, like you said, he's the definition of what I think of when I go Sith. Actually, the coffee mug I was just drinking out of is a Vader mug.
Sick.
It says you don't know the power of the dark side on it. We don't.
You don't know the power.
You don't know the power of the dark side. There's this line delivery that I absolutely love in The Empire Strikes Back, where James Earl Jones, it's with Luke Skywalker. He goes, "The Force is with you, young Skywalker," and then he hisses, "But you are not a Jedi yet." He goes real bravado with it the first half, and then is like, "Fuck you." The second half, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. But and that's kind of what Vader is with me, is he's just this perfect image of dramatic proportions, and he's an expert at it. He's perfect at being a dramatic motherfucker.
Oh, I just listened to the line, and yeah, I feel you. The delivery is strong. There, it's definitely a fuck you at the end there when he's like, "But you were not
a Jedi yet." It's like, oh, he is mad. He's ready to fucking fight.
Damn. Saying that
he's
to his son,
taunting him. He's like, "You're not a Jedi yet," and feeds into him going, "Join me." Like, you're not a Jedi yet. You can do this, and it won't be that bad.
Damn. Damn. Imagine what if Star Wars if Luke just said yes.
Right.
Damn.
What a different world we'd live in.
Does then Leia take Luke's spot?
Sister.
You
have a sister. Perhaps she will step up. But yeah. So, top 5 Sith. Mine went Vader at 1, Maul at 2, Dooku at 3, Kylo at 4, and Palpatine at 5. Give me yours.
Palpatine, number 1. Count Dooku, number 2. Darth Vader, number 3. Darth Maul, number 4. And Asajj Ventress, number 5.
Fuck. Yeah. So that's 3 down, 2 to go. What do you say we get into these Jedi?
Let's do it.
All right. So I'll kick it off this time. Top 5 Jedi. At the 5, I went with our sequel protagonist. I went with Rey Skywalker. I had to get her on the list. There was no way around it. If you actually go back to the top 100 again, she might technically fall outside the top 5. There was one that I was like, "Ooh, that feels wrong to disclude, but I'm gonna do it." And that was Anakin. I don't have Anakin on my list.
Dang.
Just because I went with Vader, I was like, and I knew you'd have Anakin. It wasn't like he was going to be left out.
Fair.
I knew he was going to be talked about. But yeah, I think if you technically go listen to that episode, he'd be 5 out of the Jedi. I think, or shit, maybe Ahsoka would. I don't know, but Rey had to be at my 5. I think she's she's a perfect little icon for the young Star Wars fan. She's a ray of light, and I think she's fucking awesome. I absolutely love Daisy Ridley in that role. And there's some sort of lack of cohesion there in her story at points, but I think I've come to accept it all in all, and it's behind us, and I can look at the things I love about it and just appreciate those. And I love Rey. Rey's an awesome character, so I had to get her in here.
Thing I can't stand anymore is like the hate of the Skywalker line, like at the end. Like, obviously she's not going to call herself Palpatine. Like, obviously. It's like,
what else would she have gone with?
Do you want the Skywalker name to end? Because like every Skywalker's dead if Rey doesn't take them, like there's none of them left. Like, do you want the name to go? Like, I don't know. Like, it's like, obviously she's going to carry on the name. She was trained by Luke.
And it's also like, for me, it's like,
she never had a family.
She's adopted, essentially.
Yeah.
What, you don't like when adopted people take their family's fucking name? No, like Luke and Leia look at her and go, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Like, you're a Skywalker. Go ahead and say it. Like, I think if you get the information and the permission from Luke and Leia, you're doing just fine. For my money.
Yeah. Padme probably would have been cool with it too.
Mm-hmm.
Just assuming.
It's there's that in Force Awakens. I think there's this setup that kind of goes overlooked. It was Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, and Luke's after that, and now it calls to you. Huh. Perhaps there's some sort of weird lineage there. How else can we define that than a Skywalker? There was clearly something within her that was tied to the Skywalker so innately that like I'm perfectly cool with it. I remember the first time I heard it, I was in theaters and I went, ooh, that felt weird. But I've grown to.
It did feel weird at first. Yes, I will say I disagreed with it. It's kind of the deal
with a lot of Star Wars movies that I watch in theaters. I go, whoa, a lot of this feels weird. Need to sit with this.
Yeah.
And it's the only fandom that I have that's like that. Like, I'll be like, all right, maybe I don't love it the most right now, but I know I will.
That's going against the source material, the gold mine of, it's like we hold it to like the sacred standard to where if anything challenges it, we're like, no, you are not challenging my childhood.
Sometimes people just got to come around on it. Yeah. And I think Rey has plenty.
The prequels were hated right away. And then look at their praise kind of now.
Return of the Jedi was hated right away. Like, there was a visceral reaction to every Star Wars movie. It's just always existed. George Lucas sold it because of the fan expectations.
Damn. Yeah. Oof. But nah, I'm glad you got Rey in here. She didn't make my top 5, but
that was why I ultimately excluded Anakin. Is I was like, there are too many great Jedi that I knew I would have to get Rey in here.
I mean, she's probably. I hope we get more of her. I hope we get more story down the line of her like being the new Yoda, basically, and just
I want Finn to move from that top list to this list. I'd love if we got some more Jedi Finn training under Rey and stuff. Like, I think that'd be awesome.
In there, probably, like this new Jedi Order. Sick. But yeah, I mean, I name dropped Yoda, who happens to be my number 5. And I just gotta put Yoda in here. He is the Jedi Order.
There's no doubt.
His lineage of master apprentices is wild. Dude is trained everyone.
If Palpatine defines the dark side, Yoda defines the light. Like there's.
And I think the reason he's number 5 and not up higher is there's not much connection you can really make to a 900-year-old being. You just know the legend of him. He's wise. That he's a badass Jedi. But there's no like, yes, I connect with Yoda so much here.
Right.
But he's up here just strictly off principle, kind of like can't really talk about the Jedi without Yoda's name.
Yoda's got to be included. There's no doubt about it. And I'm with you. I've got him a little bit later on in this list. But yeah, love me some Yoda, man. Love me some Yoda. So he had to be here. My 4, this is where I've got Qui-Gon Jinn. I love me some Qui-Gon, man. And, obviously the only on-screen content we have with him as of now is the Phantom Menace. But going beyond that and reading Master and Apprentice and getting some more of that relationship and how he felt about Obi-Wan, and it really enhanced that character for me. And pretty much he was already one of my favorite Jedi off the Phantom Menace just because he had such a free-thinking, like, the Council may say one thing, but don't be afraid to think deeper into it.
He was
just
known,
take their word as bond, Yeah,
he was known as the kind of like the Anakin before Anakin. He's like the guy who always went against the word of the Jedi and did what he thought was right.
Right, like he was this perfect antithesis to what the route Dooku went. Like it was like he thought very similarly to Dooku, but thought there was a way to fix it from within. While Dooku thought the only way to do away with it was to do away with it.
If he could have just been Anakin's master, like
a whole different fucking story, man. Maybe not even a story,
someone else has to fall, and who is that someone else? Like
right. But yeah, Palpatine finds a way to fuck shit up.
Maybe he just does it himself. He's like, shit, I was gonna hopefully have like a big muscle guy, but if I'll do it myself.
Fuck it, I'll do it myself on his Russ shit. But yeah, so Qui-Gon Jinn had to be my 4. Love that dude.
My number 4, this is where I have Ahsoka Tano. And it's she was my number 3, like probably 20 minutes ago. And then I did some more thinking, and I'm like, I don't know.
I gotta switch.
But she's either 3 or 4.
I get you on that.
But I mean, I love Ahsoka. I mean, like Dave Filoni's baby here, like his masterful creation. And he's proud of her, and he should be, because goddamn, how like instantly lovable, like in just like the fan's voice, like in the show is Ahsoka. Like the questions you ask in your mind, Ahsoka like then says them immediately after most of the time. It's like, I don't know. She's always,
that's one of the best characters in Star Wars all around. I think that, she was one that I didn't include just because she is no Jedi, according to her.
Fair.
But
her time as a Jedi,
she'd slide in here.
Her time as even before she left the Order alone, I think puts her up here.
Well, yeah, but one of the things that I absolutely love about her is kind of that page out of Qui-Gon's book, thinking for herself and going, you know what? I don't fuck with what's going on here. No, I'm not going to fall to the dark side, but I'm not going to stand here and let y'all do this. Like this ain't right.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy decision for her. Like she was devastated that she had to leave. It wasn't a happy decision,
by any means,
but she had to do it. And man, what a storyline! I can't wait to see what we're getting more of her in her own series when that pops up. But man, love me some Ahsoka.
Love that. But yeah, my 3. This is where I've got Yoda. I love me some Yoda, and you said you can't relate to a 900-year-old alien being, and I'm 100% with that. That Yoda is one of the most interesting cases for me in terms of a love for a character because of that reason. Usually my love for a character stems from the fact that I can relate to the way they think or they inspire me in some way to be like them. Yoda is just, I like the way this dude thinks. Like I fuck with his, like, and it, frankly, he'd be here solely off his training of Luke in The Empire Strikes Back. I could have just had that and he'd be a top 5 Jedi for me. Like, that's the scene that makes me go, those scenes are the ones that make me go, oh my God, I love Yoda. Like, the whole luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. Like, there's so, like, the way he explains the Force in so much more grander detail as, like, it surrounds us and binds us and blah, 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 blah. I fucking love the dude.
There is another.
There is another.
Yeah, he speaks in what did Luke say in
always spoke in riddles.
In riddles, that's right. Yeah. Do you
And
do
I mean,
that?
like,
You know, was that just to explain to Grogu that's out, or is he like, do you do that too? You know, is that a thing that y'all do?
I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like, I wonder if Grogu will adopt more of like a Din.
Do you think he's speaking to him like that in his mind? You know, like, is that how he speaks through the Force too? Because they have conversation. You know,
right?
I don't know. It'll be. I can't.
It would have been interesting if he was like he spoke in riddles as you do. Like, if he would have thrown that in there, like the way you speak to me in my mind, he spoke the same way you do. Like, that would have been interesting. But yeah, I had to get Yoda in here. That's definitely a top 3 Jedi all time for me.
Well, my number 3 says we got the boy coming up this week. This is where I have Obi-Wan. For me,
when the time comes, he will need training.
And man, Obi-Wan, you know, that's kind of the what inspired us to even get one of these started here. This episode was for Obi-Wan this week, and it's why we ultimately went with Star Wars for the category. And he's just in the prequels, he's awesome. As Old Man Alec Guinness, he's awesome. You know, just seeing Luke, you know, he looks over, sees Luke, sees that he's about to escape, and knows in that moment, like, I will teach him more. This will teach him a bigger lesson. I will be able to do more if I die right here. You know, like, you strike me down and I become more powerful than you can imagine. Bam. And like, he's right.
And in that last moment, man, the promise he makes when he sees the twins born is to keep them safe and apart. And the last thing he sees is them together again.
Oh.
And it's like, oh my God. Yes. Oh my God. I love it. I love every second of it. Obi-Wan Kenobi, he comes up a little later on my list, but Alec Guinness as Old Ben was already fucking fantastic, and then to have it enhanced even more so by Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan is just like, oh my God, I love every second of this. You know, like, there isn't a piece of Obi-Wan Kenobi story that I do not like. It's all great to me. You know,
maybe the only time was whenever he faked his own death, but that was kind of like the council doing it, not just Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But
and even so, that ends up being like a super awesome fucking arc where he goes undercover as a bounty hunter and does the fucking box challenge and shit. Like, it's super fucking cool. But yeah, that was kind of like, oh man, don't do that.
But Obi-Wan, that's our space Jesus. It's our dude.
That's our guy. That's our guy. But yeah, all right then. My 2. This is where I have Luke Skywalker.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. I love me some Luke Skywalker. And I'll go ahead and spoil it. My 1 is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Damn. Okay.
You know, I loved Luke Skywalker. I've loved Luke Skywalker all my fucking life. How could you fucking not? It's a legend. That's the guy, you know. But when I was younger, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi, that was my fucking dude. You know, I loved Obi-Wan Kenobi with all my fucking heart. And Ewan McGregor was that guy. So, you know, I had to give him the edge over Luke here. But just know, I have a lot of love for Luke Skywalker.
Damn. That's crazy. I did not expect this. I thought Luke was your number 1 for sure.
Yeah. Well, these things happen.
These things do happen. Yeah. Wow. But Luke, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just go ahead and say Anakin comes in at 2 for me. and then Luke at number 1. I think like Luke is just what Anakin could have been if he stayed,
Right.
you know, with the Jedi and everything. It's like the epitome of like Anakin's full potential is Luke, and Luke's ultimately the one to bring Anakin back. So that's why Luke's above Anakin for me.
I 100% like, that's what's interesting about the Jedi category, is that like, how do I quantify the amount of love I have for Obi-Wan, Luke versus Anakin and Yoda? Like, I love all these characters, like there's no way around it. It's just ultimately deciding which pulls at you more.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like my true order. I think Luke's number 1 for me in Jedi. That's for sure. But maybe Obi-Wan actually goes to 2 and Anakin goes to 3. Maybe. But I don't know. Anakin as a prequel baby.
How could you not?
He was just the cool dude, like in Revenge of the Sith, even though like he goes full, Vader mode.
It's part of what made him cool.
Yeah. He was the cool, Obi-Wan was the good guy, the goody two shoes, the by the book, but then Anakin was like the one where you're like, if I was a Jedi, like I'd want to be Anakin,
Well, and frankly, there's this other thing too, like that we probably didn't know when we were younger, but like now that I'm older and can recognize why I thought he was cool. Dude was fucking hot.
Okay, I was just about to say the same thing. It's like,
when he fell to the dark side, that man was sexy as hell. Yeah. Like the scar on his face, the looks he was serving, his hair. My God, is that a beautiful man?
Yeah, and we're getting him back. I don't know if it's like
I don't know in what capacity. Like I'm just so ready.
Like, oh man, yeah, I'd wait to see him again. Whether we're seeing, we're definitely getting Vader, and apparently it's in ways that we have never seen Vader before, like power wise, which is cool. But I hope we get some just Hayden Christensen on his own as Anakin in some fashion, some flashback, something. I don't know.
Oh, I sure hope so.
But yeah, have the son, then the father, and then the adopted father. In kind of order. Yeah, Obi-Wan's the Holy Spirit pretty much, but it goes the Son, Father, and then the Holy Spirit as Obi-Wan for me.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. I love it, dude. I love it. So yeah, let's run that top 5 one more time. For Jedi, I had Obi-Wan Kenobi at 1, Luke Skywalker at 2, Yoda at 3, Qui-Gon at 4, and Rey at 5.
Me, number 1, Luke Skywalker, 2, Anakin Skywalker, 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi, 4, Ahsoka, and 5, Yoda.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's get in to the Star Wars Master and Apprenticeships. So, how we're going to do things here, as we've done so far through the episode, top 5. But this time, Masters and Apprentice. Now, obviously, one's mind is tempted to go straight to Jedi, but there's Sith Master and Apprentice as well. We got stuff on both sides, so I'm excited to see what we've all got laid out here for us. So shall I begin?
Yes, if you shall want to.
All right. Then my 5, I've got Luke Skywalker and Leia Organa training Rey Skywalker.
Ooh.
Yes, and obviously this is a little bit of they didn't train her at the same time. By any means, but they both had quite the effect on Rey in an obvious way, and both, I mean, to the point where she felt comfortable taking on their name once they were gone. Like that's a massive connection they formed over the course of their kinship, and I like the scenes of Luke and Rey training on Ahch-To. Whenever he's explaining the Force to her, when he's like, "Tell me what you feel," and she's like, "Life, death that breeds new life, hot, cold." Like it's, yeah, and he's like, "Tell me what this means to you," like, and it's balance, and it's like, God, I love that scene. That's so fucking good. So fucking good.
Luke was a master. You could just tell, like, even though if Luke wasn't like Mark Hamill didn't really think it was Luke. I don't know. I really didn't have much problem with Luke as a character in the sequels. Like he was like truly a master Jedi, like at that point, and you could just tell that he's just different. Like even the Luke that we got in Boba Fett, Book of Boba, he's beginning to go on that path. You know, that's only like what 5 or how many years after? Yeah, 5 years after
Return of the Jedi, and then I guess his next appearance wouldn't be for like 25 years after that.
But yeah, I'm glad you had a like 2 masters and 1 apprentice.
I got
like sort of split up because I have one that's kind of like that. I mean, it's very huge.
Yeah, like I have that one too. It will also be coming for sure. But yeah, like I had to because, and I think I don't think that should be excluded. You know, like I think that they both had a formative impact on Rey. You know, so like they were both her masters. It's not like one of them was and one of them was off on a technicality. No, like I think it's fair to go ahead and consider those a master and apprenticeship. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's fair for sure.
Well, starting off my number 5, I think this is the only one that's kind of smaller on scale compared to the rest. But I had to put it in there. It's my boy. It is Yoda and Tyrannus at the time, but Yoda and Count Dooku.
He would have been Dooku at the time, and Tyrannus is his Sith name.
Wait, actually?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was wondering that because I was like, every time I've Googled Count Dooku, it shows up like just obviously like the picture in the movies and stuff. So like it pulls up his Sith image, whatever. But I've always wondered, I'm like, I look up Tyrannus, and then like it only shows his Sith like stuff, and then I was like, well, I don't know, I could have sworn it was the other way around.
Nah, yeah, because I had a huge amounts of trouble with this for like years because he's the only Sith Lord that they show and refer to as his old name regularly. Like when you see him in episode 2 and episode 3, he's like regarded as Darth Tyrannus like once or twice, but in conversation they always call him Count Dooku. And I think it's because he was the leader of the Separatists. Like they were like, maybe not the Sith Lord image for the leader of the Separatists. We go with the Count, like a piece of royalty is at our head. And I think that's I think it was a tactical move to refer to himself as Count Dooku. But yeah, Qui-Gon knew him as Dooku. Yoda knew him as Dooku. And yeah, Darth Tyrannus was his Sith Sith name.
But yes, I feel like in this one it's just kind of like, at least like on screen, all we've gotten of it is in Clone Wars in like one episode and like a flashback. But it's just the idea of this one, and just like the cool story that Dooku has, like his fall to the dark side was completely like his own choice, and he wasn't really manipulated a whole lot, and thought he could do things on his own, and it was like secretive and not like a boom, I'm a Sith now, check me out.
Right.
And I just think it's a really cool concept for a story, and it's my boy, Dooku. And I felt like, I don't know, I just had to include him on the list here.
Oh yeah, you have to. And you know, like, I don't know if the other Dooku apprenticeship is on your list, either Qui-Gon or Asajj Ventress. I don't know if you have either of those, and I don't want to. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was like, but he's had a few like on both sides that are like really, really cool and really, really formative on Star Wars, you know. And
I was in place of this one. I did have Dooku and Asajj, but then I don't know. I mean, apparently he only trained her in like how to fight, like like he trained her how to duel. He didn't really
train her in the ways.
Apparently there was someone else who was her master. Like, I don't know, when I was looking up, maybe that was just her old like Jedi master that like taught her some dark side stuff, is what I was like. But if you Google like Asajj Ventress master, like it pops up Kai Narek. He was a Jedi Knight who served as Asajj Ventress's Jedi Master for his death, but taught, starting her path on the dark side was this Kai Narek guy. So I didn't know if, like, I always thought that Dooku was Asajj's master. At least that's kind of the way they talked about it in Clone Wars. But then I remembered them saying that, like, she was just taught how to, like, her fighting style was taught by Dooku or something.
Basically,
like that.
she was Grievous but Force sensitive, like, because Grievous learned the ways of the fighting through Dooku as well. But I wonder if, that's interesting, because I wonder how much there can only be two thing weighed into that. Like, if
that's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah, like if they were like, I can only show you how to fight, I can't teach you the ways of the Sith. You know, like I'm in that exclusive club and it's only two of us. Okay, so like I'll help you out, but I can't give you the full secrets.
Are Inquisitors Force sensitive?
Yeah, but they're not technically Sith either.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this, I guess, the same boat that like Asajj falls in. It was kind of like a pre-Inquisitor time, just because that's just a Vader thing, right? That's not like a Sith thing that's been.
Yeah, that's Vader. They're Vader's apprentices, basically. But like, I couldn't tell you what the origin of it is. I couldn't tell you if that was Vader's idea or Palpatine's idea. I couldn't tell you that. But I know they're treated as Vader's apprentices.
But yeah, I almost had Dooku and Asajj, but I felt like the story of Yoda and Count Dooku's a little cooler.
Perhaps a bit more formative on the characters we come to know.
And just that, man, Yoda has so many people that he's trained. It's unbelievable.
That
His
branch,
tree.
Yeah.
Oh my God. For 900, how long has he been like master of the council? Not 900, I guess, but like
probably a good 500, 600, you know, like
dang.
Like, this man's been in the game for a long, long time. But yeah, like Yoda to Dooku, Dooku to Qui-Gon, Qui-Gon to Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan to Anakin, Obi-Wan to Luke, Luke to Leia and Rey. Like,
he's touched everyone that we know in some way. Yeah, like, I guess the only, like, he's touched, like, even all the dark side people. Like Anakin in some way, Dooku in some way. I guess not Palpatine. Would be like the only in Maul.
Yeah, Maul was
I guess Palpatine and Maul are like the
Earth.
only. Yeah, the only two that Yoda like hasn't touched, which is nuts.
Yeah, that is pretty nuts. Yeah, Yoda's got his hands in the pot everywhere. You know, also Mace Windu, I'm pretty sure. In some capacity, he trained Mace Windu. So like Yoda's got his hands everywhere, and but Dooku stands as his foremost apprentice. You know, like the one you think of and go, that was the apprenticeship. There was Yoda and Dooku. Aside from a pretty integral one to the saga of Star Wars, which I'm sure we will both get to.
Yes.
But yeah, so my next one, my 4. This is where I've got Anakin and Ahsoka.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I had to. You know, I love their relationship. I love Sky Guy and Snips. I didn't like truly watch Clone Wars all the way through until I was probably 18 and Disney Plus was out. 19, Disney Plus was out. But I'd watched it when I was younger all the time. Just like if it was on Cartoon Network, click it, it's on. And that's that, you know, but I didn't get the intricacies of the politics of the Republic era or anything. Like I'm not watching for that. I'm watching, you know, pew pew, bing bing bong boom. And something I didn't come to appreciate really until I was older was Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship. You know, I didn't understand the intricacies of her choosing to leave the Jedi Order and stuff like that. You know, and come season 5, I can't even recall if I was still really, really watching come season 5 when it was on air. You know what I'm saying? But being able to go back and watch them grow together opposite each other, and then watch season 7 as it unfolds, and the Clone Wars ultimately ending with with Vader picking up her sabers and seeing him walk away in the reflection of the Ahsoka Trooper helmet. Like, god damn. What a powerful image, man.
We weren't ready for that season 7. Like, we weren't, I don't know. I was not, at least me going into it, I did not expect to be like crying that much. And like for this, like from this show. And then you have like the Rebels moment where they meet in like the, I always forget what that
Malachor, I think is the planet, bro.
But what was the, like what Ezra and what Palpatine was using? Was it like the world between worlds or something like that?
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah.
Okay, it's not really important to the story, but I always just forget what that's called.
Yeah, it's kind of clunky. You'd think it would have like a shortened name, but no, it is the world between worlds.
But like that moment where she truly thinks that like Vader killed Anakin, she's like, that's what she wanted to believe, is that like they weren't, the same person.
Ahsoka.
And then like, yeah,
the gasp and the eyes widening, man, they nail that shit, bro. Like, and I mean, Ahsoka assuming Fulcrum, that was Anakin's call sign throughout the entirety of the Clone War, and then Ahsoka assumes it for the Rebel Alliance. So it's like, even though Anakin, that's what I love. That's kind of what I love about Ahsoka carrying on and aiding the rebellion, even if she's not a part of it, is that through her, Anakin's on both sides. Like it's kind of like he's obviously he's entrenched in the dark side. He is the Empire, but he's affected enough people on the other side to have a formative impact on the destruction of the Empire. And that's really, really cool. I really, really love it. But Anakin and Ahsoka, man, Sky Guy and Snips, they're just the little sister Anakin never had, I think that's a good way to look at it. He was an only child and grew up in slavery, and he finally had someone who was, thought a lot like him. And obviously it was a little mind for him to kind of, mold how he saw fit, but,
they have such cute moments of like,
he inspired a great deal of free thinking, so I'm never concerned that like Ahsoka's like brainwashed by the way of the Jedi. She leaves, that's.
Yeah, like Ahsoka would kind of go against her orders or whatever, and then Anakin would be like, "Snips, what are you doing? I told you to blah blah blah." And she's like, "Well, Master, whatever you would do the same thing." And he's like, "Well, I'm the Master." He's like, or whatever he says, whatever he says. It's just they're so cute together.
They're a great duo. I had to get them in here, so Anakin and Ahsoka at my 4.
Sick. Well, my 4. This is where I have the kind of the Star Wars master in apprenticeship. I group in Obi-Wan and Yoda together, training Luke. Obi-Wan doesn't really have, a whole lot of time with Luke. They're on Tatooine. They go straight, to the Death Star. And then, I think his true training is like after he's dead, and then he's like, no, Luke, like, use the Force, like in his moments where he speaks to him through the Force. But obviously Yoda, on Dagobah, literally training him. So, I count both of them as Luke's master.
I'm 100% with you, and I think it's interesting. I think Obi-Wan had a similar. Obviously, we're about to get the series and stuff, and it's going to explain that he's been in Luke's life a bit longer than we were aware of come episode 4. I still, however, think that when it comes to the training side of things, he has an effect on Luke the way Luke had an effect on Rey. And that it was very quick. They did not get a lot of time together, but that time was formative for both of their experiences.
Yeah, it was the first Jedi they encountered.
First steps.
Right, was Rey didn't. I guess Luke was the only one left.
Yeah,
I was trying to think if Rey talked to any Jedi before.
No,
Luke.
no.
But yeah, Obi-Wan was kind of the one to tell Luke, like, hey, your whole life, you've had this very strong family. You know, your father went and fought. You knew my father? And then like,
Yeah,
oh
your
yeah,
father
here's his
fought the Clone
lightsaber.
Wars.
Yeah, here's his lightsaber. These two droids that are standing right here, I'm going to act like I don't know who they are. But yeah, I fought a whole war with them too.
That Dune Sea craziness, man.
But I didn't even think of this. In this show, we could get confirmation that like Obi-Wan has kept Qui-Gon's lightsaber as well. And then like Luke's second lightsaber is just a perfect combination of like Obi-Wan's and Qui-Gon's.
Sure,
like,
man, I'd love it. I would love that so much if that's the route we're going. But and you know, we're talking a lot about Obi-Wan, Luke, and understandably so. They are like Episode 4, 1977. That's the OG shit. That's peak right there. You know what I'm saying? But Yoda and Luke, like I commented on this when we talked about our top 5 Jedi, and I talked about how much I love Yoda. Yoda and Luke's time on Dagobah. Those are some of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars, man. Empire Strikes Back is so strong, and like they're just such a great duo together. Like their introduction and just all of it. It's so good.
Yoda just trying to eat all Luke's food, and Luke's like, "Oh, get out of here! Who are you? Know whatever. I just want to see Yoda." Oh, you know him? You can bring me to him? Like
Yoda?
Like,
you seek Yoda?
And man, it's crazy to me that like every time I think of like Yoda on Dagobah, it's because he was just so depressed after he lost to Palpatine that he was like, "I lost. It's my fault. I failed. Goodbye forever." Like, damn. But I mean, you know, you have Luke running with Yoda in the backpack doing the front flip, and then you got Luke and Grogu doing the same thing, dude. And it's just like,
there's so much there, man.
Come on, man.
Well, and it's just cool to see the way that these experiences directly affected Luke. Like I compared Obi-Wan and Luke to Luke and Rey. You can compare Yoda and Grogu with their relationships to Luke, you know, and even Luke and Leia, when he was training her in the jungle, and they're saber sparring, and it's there's just so much there, man, and the parallels between Obi-Wan and Luke with their short time together, Yoda training him in the jungle, and then Luke having a short time with Rey and Leia training her in the jungle, and there's just so much there. All of it rhymes, you know. It's like poetry.
It's like they thought about this whenever they were writing the Book of Boba episode and training. I don't know. It's just such a beautiful world that they've built.
All just
it's like
it's so perfect, man. I love it so much.
Crazy that a master force wielder teaching just a younger person the ways to do that can be so beautiful. Like, it sounds so crazy to say out loud that, like, how can that be emotionally, you know, resonant at all? But like, it just is. It
just works.
But yeah, I don't know. I got Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda training Luke Skywalker at my
Lovely. I love that. So that brings us to my 3. This is where it starts to get a little hard. I haven't necessarily put these in order. I'm kind of deciding on the fly what my 1 through 5 are. And so I'm obviously left with 3 options, and I feel like I have to go with the one you just said. I feel like I have to go Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda training Luke, and we kind of said all there was to say about it just now. I love this trio so much, and they define my love for Star Wars. You know, without these 3, at least the love for Star Wars as I've grown up to appreciate it more and more. You know, like there was a pretty obvious apprenticeship from when I was a young lad that I latched onto very, very quickly. But as I've gotten older, they've risen to just kind of like the original trilogy. The older I get, the more I just appreciate how much of a masterpiece it was, and they are the original trilogy to me: Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Luke Skywalker. You know.
Yeah, It kind of pained me a little bit to put it so low, like at number 4. But I think it was just these other ones were long. Like there's more content to them other than one. I don't know. Maybe I think there's just more time that we get with these Master and Jedi or Master and Apprentice combos, but I don't know. I mean, this one is huge. It's like all of Star Wars. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
the original trilogy. It's pretty huge. But I don't know. I think I like and can connect with the other ones more, and that's why it fell a little bit.
Well, when I was a young lad, the prequel trilogy hit for me a lot harder than the original trilogy did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I was much more attracted to the visuals of it, the action of it. Like it was all just I mean, it was more modern. And you know, at the time when I'm 5, 6, 7, I'm eating that shit up, you know, like I'm like prequel trilogy all day. But as I've gotten older, the original trilogy just prevails to resonate with me on so much deeper a level than not just Star Wars movies, but most movies in general. You know, like the original trilogy just hits on a different level than everything else, you know?
Oh, yeah. And I don't know, this might shock you, but my 3 is where I have Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker.
I thought this might be the case.
And I mean, the thing is, these are top 5. All of them are fucking great. Like all of them.
I love all.
Like,
well, that's the thing is that like they consist of nothing but characters I love. So like, I mean, of course I'm going to love all of it. You know what I'm saying?
And I mean, we have the whole Clone Wars, you know, for this one, movies 1 through 3, 2 through 3, I'd say
you get the tail end of 1. I mean, the episode 1's formative on the fact that Obi-Wan and Anakin end up together, you know, Qui-Gon making him swear, you know, you promise me you'll train the boy.
I mean, I guess I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But this one is just, it's Obi-Wan is in this place where he's in between a father figure and a brother, and Anakin really needed that father figure. But it worked for a while, you know, like they were brothers, as Obi-Wan said at the end.
You are my
like,
brother, Anakin.
Yeah, and you know, it hurts when they don't say I love you back, but it hurts even more whenever they hit you with a I hate you.
I hate you.
So, but you know, it ended in flames. But before that day, it was pretty good.
It was beautiful. You know,
it's just a bad day.
And what's interesting too is you get the best parts of them. Obviously, when it comes to the movies, since they kind of framed Anakin Skywalker's fall as this Shakespearean tragedy sort of thing, you only get the really devastating bad moments with them, I feel like. And it's really the Clone Wars where you get to see just how good things could be between them and how much respect Obi-Wan had for Anakin, and kind of like and it was hesitant, you know, it was always like, all right, fine, we will do things Anakin's way, because he got shit done. He knew what he was doing. It might have been reckless, but he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. And I mean, there were moments where, you know, Anakin would just completely disregard whatever order he was given and just own the situation. But then there were some times where it kind of got the better of him, and Obi-Wan was like, you know, it's not all about how powerful you are. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it's not to fight at all, or, you know, it's the decision making that's important or whatever. You know, so there were still lessons that Obi-Wan could teach Anakin, even though he's the strongest Force user to walk, you know, any planet. But yeah, I don't know. Weird that it falls to 3, but I don't know. I feel like the 2 above it. Yeah, I don't know. I do like them a little more, and maybe it's more the idea of them. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Nah, man. Like whatever felt right is what felt right, you know. And if Obi-Wan Anakin's at your 3, that makes perfect sense. Obi-Wan Anakin for me is at my 2. So they're up next for me. I fucking love them, you know. And this was the duo I was referring to a second ago when I was talking about the original trilogy with Ben Kenobi, Yoda training Luke. When I was younger, the defining pairing in Star Wars was Anakin and Obi-Wan. Like that was pretty much all Star Wars was to me at one point, was Anakin and Obi-Wan, you know, like
shoot, like even I'm fighting my brother with our plastic lightsabers.
Mm-hmm.
We were choosing who was Anakin, who was Obi-Wan. Like,
yeah, always.
That's damn, I didn't even think about that. That's like very formative on the childhood. Yeah.
Absolutely is, you know, like we weren't doing Ben Kenobi versus Vader or Luke versus Vader. We were doing Anakin versus Obi-Wan because it was, even at such a young age, we recognized just how impactful that storytelling was, you know, like, oh my God, he was the good guy who fell to the dark side. Oh no, you know, like, we knew that was the fight that mattered the most, at least at one point, you know, like, they were just such a defining aspect of my childhood. Like when it comes to the heroes of my younger days, it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man right up there with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, man. Like they were the shit to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this duo is pretty unbeatable. Here. I can't think of trying to think of another duo that can beat like just in movies in general. That can like beat them out.
They just work so well together, you know, and like it's really cool seeing them back together and like press tours and stuff for Kenobi. Like it's really awesome seeing them do like interviews together and stuff. And someone asked Hayden Christensen the other day, like what made him feel like he was back, like in Star Wars. Like what was the first time you went like, yeah, I'm really back? And he was like, first time I saw Ewan. Like, and that's just like, and I'm just like, God, they're so fucking cute, you know, like they're so good together. And, he like at one point in the interview, he says Ewan feels like home, and it's like, oh, that is so fucking cute. That's so fucking cute. I love him so much, but, yeah, like,
what a guy.
They're just such a great
kinship. I did think of one duo that is better, but it's obviously better, and it's unfair, and that's Shaggy and Scooby.
Shaggy and Scoob, yeah.
But I mean, like, Anakin and Obi-Wan are great, but like Shaggy and Scooby.
I mean, if we were doing like a battle to the death, I mean, it takes max 3 seconds for Shaggy and Scooby to deal with Obi-Wan and Anakin.
And that's them being kind of merciful too. It's really any time they want. Shaggy just,
because if Shaggy wanted to, he could go full Ultron. And what if Ultron won to Thanos? Just slice him right up the middle. 1 second, you're done.
Is infinite amounts of ways of winning.
It's simply unfair. But yeah. So Obi-Wan Anakin came up my 2. What's your 2?
This is where I have Darth Sidious and Darth Vader.
That's right. Okay, I was like, I wonder if he's going to take it Sith at some point. And
I had to.
Since you didn't have Luke and Leia training Rey, I was like, I think he's going there. I love that. That's a great pick.
Yeah, this is. It's the mastermind behind it all, and his greatest trick is Anakin. Eventually becoming Darth Vader, obviously. And the manipulation,
my master, you know, like
programming Anakin into Order 66, like already, like Darth Vader, you know, like he was like part of Order 66. It was like, yeah, follow this man now, and like Anakin, like he looks like a Jedi, you know, he's a Jedi your whole life. Don't kill him though, like he is now your leader, and that, like, it's just like. Damn, like I don't know, Palpatine from birth, from birth has been manipulating this man, and created one of the the strongest things ever. And you know, we've gotten a taste of that in Rogue One. We've gotten a little taste in Rebels.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rebels, Fallen Order. Like, we've seen a few things that show Vader as this merciless motherfucker. You know, like
apparently now it's gonna be even more obvious. With Obi-Wan is what I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up and just, you know, have this vision in my head where Vader does the whole thing where he just like sends out a shockwave and kills like 50,000 troopers around him like he does in like some video games, like Starkiller, you know, and him like whatever. Like I don't want to have that image in my head, and then whenever he's just like fighting Obi-Wan or like, you know, just like something whatever. But I've heard that like this is the most powerful that we've seen Vader be is what, like, I don't know if it was Hayden Christensen.
We've never had a better opportunity to see it, you know, like as far as where we're at with our technology and what we can do. And I mean, like animation, obviously, like some of the cool, like for me right now, the single most badass canon Vader scene is him fighting Kanan and Ezra, kind of basically taunting them, babying them, and then they collapse the walker on him, and he just lifts that shit up and is like, y'all cannot fuck with me.
And like even before he shows up, they don't even see him yet. He's just flying in. They're like,
I feel cold.
Why is it cold? Like they just instantly are like, holy fuck, something so bad is about to happen right now. Like the dude hasn't even made his presence known, but he literally did, just flying in and about to land. Like, oh my God. And I'm trying to think like, yeah, like in Rogue One, the hallway scene looks good, but like the thing that they just haven't done, like in VFX wise, is have the lightsaber like reflect off of Vader's suit more. Like it's a blade of light and it's super bright, and they don't have it like reflect off his suit like as much as it should. But I feel like we're going to get a shot that like is just in camera is just showing the reflection off his helmet. And then you see his like blade ignite and like, it just like, vroom, like, I don't know. I
would love that, you know, and obviously in the original trilogy, they didn't quite have the technology to pull that off. But you're right, in Rogue One, they don't really play on that at all. We've only recently
hallway would be bright, like, and it's still pretty dim, like even with a
it is interesting the way they depict lightsabers in dark rooms. You know, like it's like the only light you see is the lightsaber, and it's like, well, in theory, the lightsaber ought to light up the room. It is a beam of white light. It wouldn't just be letting off a blue or red glow. It would be, it would basically just be fucking turning the fucking light on me. But
like a literal sun, just like right there, a stick of sun,
a power of the sun in the palm of their hand, if you will.
Yeah, I can't wait to see some more Vader. But
Sidious and Vader though, like the whole method of keeping him entrenched in the dark side by keeping him sad, just kind of reminding him of all the terrible shit that's happened.
Hey, remember Padme? You haven't forgotten about her. Okay, good.
You do remember. Good.
Remember.
Good.
Yeah, keep remembering over and over.
But like even before, you know, obviously whenever he's Darth Vader, you know, in the comics they go over how Vader's always thinking about the terrible shit that's happened in his past. Like when he offers his hand to Luke and is like, join me, we can rule the galaxy as father and son. And Luke's like, guess I'll die. And he just like jumps. Like in that moment, he goes back and he thinks about,
guess I'll die.
He goes back and he thinks about Padme going, you're going down a path I can't follow, you know, like you're doing something I can't go with, you know. And
I never thought about Vader watching like Luke fall. He's like, oh my God, my son literally chose suicide over joining me. I never thought of like the Vader side of it. I've only thought of like the Luke side because like,
Well, and it's also like when I'm younger, like I didn't even make the connection he was attempting suicide until like a couple of years back. Like in my head, it's always like, oh, he's one with the Force. He falls straight through the hole. He knew he would land at the bottom. No, he didn't. He thought he'd go splat, or at least fall to his death on Bespin. Like,
damn, that's crazy. I mean, yeah, he did perfectly fall in that tube though. And that slide, like, I don't know, that's just the Force, you know.
The Force
working
guiding
its
him,
magic, yeah. It was beautiful. But yeah, I mean, and then you got Vader throwing Sidious down that, you know, down a tube,
overcoming. The return of Anakin, man, the return of the Jedi.
Mid fall, he has the strength to just be like, boop, my consciousness is somewhere else. It's just sick.
Body was lifeless halfway to the ground.
Damn. And I mean, he's going out with full. Did he say infinite? Whenever he was, did he get to like or unlimited power? Did he get to that with Luke? I know he got to it with Mace, but did he ever get there with Luke? I don't know if he said that out loud. I can't remember.
I don't think he did. But I think the most powerful we ever see Palpatine is when he's face to face with Rey and is taking the power of life itself.
Fair. Yeah, that's pretty strong there.
Yeah, pretty strong guy. But yeah, Sidious and Vader, really, and just the way he like taunted him when he was still Anakin Skywalker, like right after he killed Dooku, and he's like, I shouldn't have done that. It's not the Jedi way. And he's like, oh, it makes sense. You know, he took your hand. You wanted revenge. Recall what you did to the Tuscans. Like
Luckily,
couldn't be
was
more clearly,
there, yeah.
couldn't be more clearly being like, you're a terrible person. Think about it like that.
One day you'll join me. You just don't know it yet. Damn.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just gaslit the fuck out of him.
Devastating. But with that, I believe, judging by context clues, we probably have the same number one.
Indeed.
In Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi.
The Duel of Fates, man. Like, that's what it comes down to. If Qui-Gon stays alive and he trains Anakin, like,
could have been all different, man.
But just of what we get of them, like in Phantom Menace, I don't know. It's crazy that like it's just this one movie. You get a little of Qui-Gon, I guess, in Clone Wars, but like, I don't know. I just love Qui-Gon. I love Obi-Wan. They're both like Space Jesus. Qui-Gon's kind of like Space God. And then Obi-Wan, Space Jesus. Like,
Father and Son, with Luke being the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, Space God.
Space God. Qui-Gon Jinn, Qui-Gon Jinn, the creator.
It's only fitting. I mean, Obi-Wan sees him die and is like, all right, I know what I got to do.
I think it's awesome that you had them one and you haven't read Master and Apprentice. Like, I know for a fact that if you read Master and Apprentice about Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, there might not be a gap between your 1 and 2. There'd be a gap between your 1 and 2. Like Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi are just such a great duo. And that book diving into how they're like, it's set like, I want to say a couple years before the Phantom Menace, maybe a year before the Phantom Menace. And it's kind of them in this awkward spot where Obi-Wan can't really see the value and the way Qui-Gon goes about doing things in terms of free thinking and going out on his own and being like, when it comes to, there's this conflict in the Phantom Menace where Qui-Gon's like, we'll go to Tatooine, you know, and, I think it's Panaka goes like, well, then that planet's ruled by the Hutts. What happens then? And he's like, we have the advantage that the Hutts aren't looking for. It's like better than going somewhere else, you know? And he makes a lot of decisions like that where it's like, it might not be perfectly safe, but it's still better than an alternative. And Obi-Wan, like it takes the journey they go on in that book for him to go, okay, yeah, I see why purely following the Jedi Council can lead to some wrong things. But, you know, to see it snap back on him at the end of the Phantom Menace, where he realizes, well, if Qui-Gon hadn't done all that, he'd be alive.
Fuck.
Yeah. It's all just like Obi-Wan's been through it, man. He's been through it.
He loses everyone.
It starts with Qui-Gon, man.
Ooh. Do we get some Qui-Gon Force ghosts? Like,
it'd be interesting, you know, because historically, what we've seen is that Qui-Gon can't materialize.
Oh no, he can't. Yeah, that's right. Maybe
he can just speak. I'd be willing to bet we hear from him.
Oh man, I forgot about that. He was like the first to like know how to do that of the Jedi, and then he related to. Did he relate to Obi-Wan first or relate to Yoda?
He related to Yoda because Yoda's in Attack of the Clones meditating, and he can hear Qui-Gon going, "No, Anakin, no!" And he's like, well, "That was Qui-Gon. What the fuck's going on there?" And then at the end of Revenge of the Sith, whenever Yoda sits down with Obi-Wan and is like, "I have something for you to do in your, I can't remember." Your isolation on Tatooine, training for you. I have a way for you to commune with your old master, Qui-Gon.
I hope we get maybe like some Liam Neeson voice lines or something.
I hope so. You know, he said something in an interview recently where, and it's just mad sus because I can't like I think someone asked him if he was in Kenobi. Like straight up was like, are you in Obi-Wan Kenobi? And he was like, he's one of the movie actors who's like, I'm a little above that. A Disney Plus series. I stick to the big screen. That was kind of his response, and I was like, that makes sense. But I don't think that puts him outside the possibility for voice work like that. You can finish that shit in a fucking day and be good.
That's an easy out answer though. That's just a way of saying no and yes. Like, or I'm not giving you an answer. Like,
yeah, it's not directly answering the question. It's just kind of like,
yeah, I guess he just voice lined for, the last or Rise of Skywalker, right? Like was that just a reuse of a voice line?
I think he actually recorded something, if I'm not mistaken. I believe so.
No, I like to, you know, even if we don't get any Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan in this, it's going to be okay. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's the what if that gets me the most, I think, of Star Wars. Is just like, what if Qui-Gon lived? And like, what if Obi-Wan died there?
What a different world we'd live in.
I mean, maybe I would like if they both lived. What if those red laser doors weren't working that day and they all, you know, they both got through and then Maul just died? I don't know. We have a whole, I mean, we wouldn't have the beautiful downfall of Anakin and you know,
and you know, like, if 1, 2, 3 is made before 4, 5, 6, who knows how different the story could be? There's all sorts of things, you know. Like there was never a possibility for that in Episode 1. You know, like that wasn't even close to being on the radar, just because Obi-Wan's in 4. You know, like that's so like the box that the original trilogy can. I mean, it didn't put it in a box, obviously. Like I think the prequel trilogy elevates the original trilogy like crazy. And we've grown up with it. So it's like, we don't have an image of the original trilogy in a vacuum, really. We've always known it to come together, which is really cool. But yeah, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, man, the Phantom Menace. I don't know that there's a movie that makes me more nostalgic. That might be the most nostalgic movie of all time for me. And Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, man, Whenever we get pod racing, whenever we get to the Trade Federation command ship, and they're sitting in there like there's something weird going on here, and then the dioxis gas coming through, and them having to fight all the droids, like all that, like makes me so nostalgic. When I was a youngin', that was one of my favorite scenes in all of Star Wars. When that opening to the Phantom Menace. But
there's always a bigger fish.
There is always a bigger fish. Yeah, God, what a good fucking movie. But yeah, so that wraps up the Star Wars 5x5. Let's go through that Masters and Apprenticeship one more time. At number 1, I had Qui-Gon Jinn training Obi-Wan Kenobi. At number 2, I had Obi-Wan training Anakin. At number 3, I had Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda training Luke Skywalker. So my top 3 all had Obi-Wan Kenobi in it, which is pretty.
Yeah. He's a good master.
That's why he's my top one. That's why he's my top one Jedi. He's just But at number 4, I had Anakin training Ahsoka Tano, and at number 5, I had Luke and Leia training Rey.
Number 1, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Number 2, Darth Sidious and Darth Vader. Number 3, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. 4, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda training Luke. And number 5, Yoda training Count Dooku.
Love it. And with that, we have wrapped up our first 5x5, and this was a joyous one to kick it off with. I am officially fucking ready for Obi-Wan Kenobi this Friday. I needed a Star Wars discussion to really get me fucking amped again. We haven't done that in a second, and this did it. This did it for sure. So I can't wait for the next couple 5x5s with Star Wars. Not sure when those will happen. I wouldn't expect them the next couple weeks, but maybe we kind of sandwich it. Like after episode 3, we do Star Wars 5x5 part 2, and then after episode 6, we do Star Wars 5x5 part 3, and that kind of just sandwich Kenobi there. But no promises there. We'll do it whenever we want to. With that, we wrap up this episode of the Penny Bloom podcast. If you would, head to patreon.com/KoroBloom, where you'll find over 24 hours of exclusive content, including an episode from just yesterday where we ponder the question, what if? No, I'm just kidding. We ponder the question, would you rather fight an orangutan with a sword once a year or a chicken every time you get in your car?
A lot more than you think can be discussed.
Yeah, there's a lot more that go. It was a good 30-minute discussion pondering this single question. So yeah, and then just so much more, including an episode last week about a story. I went to a wedding, and the father of the bride was wielding 2 guns as he walked his daughter down the aisle, and I give my thoughts on that. It was you just got to hear it. So patreon.com/KoroBloom, KoroBloom. All that money goes back into making sure we can put this podcast on. It's a great help. It costs money, and I don't make any unless it's over there and at my job. Head to Twitter, follow at Penny Bloom Pod, follow on Instagram at Penny Bloom Podcast, and remember. Oh wait, I didn't even sign off with us. I'm Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And we'll see you for the Council of Kenobi.